She followed every safety rule people always talk about. She stayed on well-lit roads, told her loved ones where she was going, and even spoke to her boyfriend while walking home. This is the heartbreaking story of Sarah Everard, a murder that shook the United Kingdom, shattered trust in law enforcement, and changed the way millions of women thought about their own safety. On the evening of March 3, 2021, 33-year-old Sarah Everard left a friend's home in South London after spending a quiet evening chatting over dinner. Like millions of people during the COVID lockdown, her social life had become much smaller, making simple visits with friends feel even more valuable. Before leaving, nothing seemed unusual. She was happy, excited about her new freelance marketing job, and looking forward to seeing her boyfriend the following day. Sarah wasn't careless. In fact, friends described her as someone who always paid attention to her surroundings. She chose a route that was well lit, stayed on main roads, wore bright clothing that would make her easy to spot, and even called her boyfriend while walking home. She let him know she was safely on her way and promised to see him the next day. That phone call would be the last time many people ever heard from her. When Sarah suddenly stopped replying to messages, her boyfriend became worried. By the next day, after she failed to arrive home or answer calls, he reported her missing. Police quickly realized something was seriously wrong. Her disappearance was completely out of character. She wasn't someone who simply vanished without telling anyone. Within hours, officers began searching the area where she had last been seen. Detectives knocked on doors, collected CCTV recordings, and asked drivers for dashcam footage. Search teams combed nearby parks while divers searched ponds and lakes. Friends and family flooded social media with missing person posters, hoping someone had seen Sarah during her walk home. The case quickly became national news. Across Britain, thousands of people shared her photograph online. Women especially felt a deep connection to the story because Sarah had done everything society often tells women to do to stay safe. She wasn't walking through dark alleyways or taking dangerous shortcuts. She followed all the advice, yet she still disappeared. As investigators studied hours of security footage, they were able to track Sarah's movements almost minute by minute. London's large network of CCTV cameras showed her walking confidently toward home, speaking on her phone, and following her normal route. Then, suddenly, she vanished. The breakthrough came when detectives found footage showing Sarah standing beside a white vehicle parked near the roadside. At first, it looked almost ordinary. There was no obvious struggle. But investigators knew this moment was important. They began tracing every vehicle matching that description. The search eventually led them to a rented white Vauxhall Crossland. Rental records revealed who had been driving it that night. The name shocked investigators. The driver wasn't an ordinary criminal, he was Wayne Couzens, a serving officer with London's Metropolitan Police. The news stunned not only detectives but the entire country. The very organization trusted to protect the public suddenly found itself investigating one of its own. Officers later admitted there was complete silence inside the investigation room when they learned the suspect wore the same uniform they did. AS detectives looked deeper into Couzens' background. Even more disturbing information surfaced. Before Sarah disappeared, there had already been multiple reports of indecent exposure involving him. Several women had reported frightening encounters, including incidents at fast food drive-thrus where he allegedly exposed himself. Despite these complaints, no proper action had been taken. Those missed warning signs would soon become one of the biggest questions surrounding the entire investigation. The investigation moved incredibly fast. Detectives used CCTV footage, phone records, automatic number plate recognition cameras, and rental car information to build a timeline. Every new piece of evidence pointed toward Wayne Couzens. On March 9th, just days after Sarah disappeared, police officers arrived at his home in Kent and placed him under arrest. According to investigators, Couzens first denied responsibility. He claimed he had handed Sarah over to a criminal gang after being forced to do so because of debts. It was a story that quickly fell apart. Detectives found evidence connecting him directly to Sarah's disappearance, including DNA evidence, CCTV footage, phone records, and his movements before and after the crime. The facts were overwhelming. The investigation soon revealed something even more disturbing. Prosecutors believed this was not a random act committed in the heat of the moment. Instead, they argued that Cousins had spent weeks planning an attack. He had rented a different vehicle, bought items that could help him carry out the crime, and even spent time driving through London searching for a victim. Investigators believe he used his police identification and authority to convince Sarah to stop. Because Britain was still under COVID restrictions, prosecutors said he likely pretended she had broken lockdown rules and was being arrested. Witnesses later reported seeing Sarah standing beside the vehicle without obvious signs of panic. She likely believed she was dealing with a real police officer performing his duties. That heartbreaking detail shocked millions of people. The idea that someone could use a police badge to kidnap an innocent woman destroyed a sense of trust that many people had taken for granted. Suddenly, a badge no longer represented safety in the minds of many women across the country. As investigators uncovered more about Cousins, they also discovered that warning signs stretched back many years. Reports later showed that women had accused him of indecent exposure on several occasions before Sarah's murder. Some incidents had been reported to police, but investigations were delayed, poorly handled, or simply failed to stop him. Questions quickly turned toward the police themselves. How had someone with multiple complaints managed to stay in uniform? How had he passed background checks? Could Sarah's death have been prevented if earlier reports had been taken more seriously? These questions became impossible to ignore. Public anger grew stronger after details emerged that some previous allegations against Cousins had never been properly investigated. Many people felt opportunities to stop him had been missed long before Sarah crossed his path. While detectives continued gathering evidence, the country mourned Sarah's death. Thousands of people left flowers near the place where she disappeared. Social media filled with messages from women sharing their own experiences of feeling unsafe while walking home at night. For many, Sarah's story wasn't just another crime. It represented fears they had carried for years. A vigil was planned at Clapham Common to honor Sarah and raise awareness about violence against women. However, because COVID restrictions were still in place, authorities attempted to stop the gathering. Despite official warnings, thousands of people still arrived to pay their respects. What was meant to be a peaceful memorial soon became another national controversy. Police officers tried to disperse the crowd, leading to tense confrontations. Images of women being restrained and arrested spread rapidly across television and social media. For many observers, the scenes were deeply upsetting. Just days after a woman had allegedly been murdered by a serving police officer, people watched other officers removing women from a vigil held in her memory. Those images became symbolic of a much larger conversation about public trust, accountability, and whether institutions were truly listening to the concerns of the people they were meant to protect. The court proceedings confirmed what investigators had feared from the beginning. Wayne Cousins eventually admitted to kidnapping, raping, and murdering Sarah Everard. During sentencing, the judge described his crimes as a complete abuse of police power and said his actions had caused lasting damage not only to Sarah's family, but also to public confidence in law enforcement across Britain. Cousins received a whole-life prison sentence, meaning he will never be released. The judge stated that he had carefully planned the attack, chosen his victim, and used his position as a police officer to gain her trust. It was one of the harshest sentences available under UK law, but the story didn't end with the conviction. After the case, several official investigations examined how Cousins had remained a police officer despite multiple warning signs. Reports found failures in background checks, missed opportunities to investigate earlier complaints, and serious weaknesses in how misconduct allegations were handled. Questions were also raised about police culture and whether complaints involving sexual misconduct had been taken seriously enough. The case triggered major reviews across the Metropolitan Police. Officers connected to separate misconduct investigations were dismissed. Vetting procedures were strengthened, and new discussions began about improving public safety during police interactions. Authorities also encouraged people to verify the identity of officers if they ever felt uncertain during an unexpected stop, something that had rarely been discussed before Sarah's murder. Sarah Everard's death also sparked a nationwide conversation that reached far beyond the courtroom. Millions of women shared stories about changing their routes home, pretending to be on phone calls, carrying personal alarms, or texting friends when they arrived safely. Many said these habits had become a normal part of everyday life, and Sarah's case showed why those fears existed. For Sarah's family, however, no investigation or policy change could erase their loss. They described her as a kind, intelligent, adventurous woman who loved traveling, cared deeply about the people around her, and had her entire future ahead of her. Their message throughout the case remained focused on remembering Sarah for the life she lived, not only the tragedy that ended it. The murder of Sarah Everard became one of the most significant criminal cases in modern British history. It exposed failures within trusted institutions, forced difficult conversations about women's safety, and led to lasting changes in policing and public awareness. More than anything, it served as a painful reminder that trust is earned through accountability. When that trust is broken by those sworn to protect others, the impact reaches far beyond a single crime. It changes how an entire nation sees safety, justice, and the people entrusted to uphold both.